Donald Trump really wants you to know how rich he is. Don't take my word for it, though. In a new interview with CNBC, Trump also said he had no influence on the billions of dollars he's taken in since returning to the White House.
I've made a tremendous amount of money, more than I would have ever thought I would have made. And I let people invest it. I don't even know who they are. But it's given to big firms like that are on your show all the time. Mm-hmm. My son, Eric, handles it. I don't talk to him about things such as this. I think I'd be allowed to. I'm not sure even what the status is, but I don't.
Here's the tell.
Joining us now is Cornell Belcher. He's a pollster, Democratic strategist, and an MS Now political analyst. My tone wasn't for Cornell; it was for that clip.
So important Donald Trump dissection.
The point came out. You were like Leonardo DiCaprio.
I know. You got to listen to the man because he can't help himself. He will always tell you what he's doing in the frame of what he's not doing or what he can't do. So when he sits there, Cornell, and says that my son Eric is doing all this, I don't talk to him. I'm not supposed to, but I think I could. Tells you he's talking to him. Donald Trump doesn't operate blind, people. And that's the storyline here that it just still boggles my mind that even the people who've covered him don't really expose and dissect that much when he's sitting there telling people that, y'all are making money, right? Because I'm making money. He knows they ain't making money.
Right.
But he does know he is.
Yes. Him and his family is making an awful lot of money. So much so that you do have, and this hasn't come up in folks group work in a while, but corruption outside of Louisiana, but corruption is actually on the top of people's minds right now because of what they're seeing coming out of Washington. It was a slow boil, but I think we're at the point now, especially when he's flying over with the Qataris airplane. I think we're at the point now where it is beginning to sort of build up and is rising to the top, and Americans are saying corruption. This is corrupt.
It's interesting. We had some original reporting from our MS Now Hill team that talked about how America 250 was set up. It was a bipartisan thing. Simone's mentioned that a bunch. And then Trump came in with Freedom 250 and just pulled the rug right out underneath that. A lot of people gave to the wrong thing. That could be corrupt. But there was a story I wanted to talk about because I had it out on social media and people responded in a way that I was not expecting. And that's about eggs. And you know this from the Biden administration. Okay, there was a recent settlement that just happened. Okay, egg producers will pay $3.3 million and donate 53 million eggs to settle price-fixing claims. The U.S. Justice Department and 17 states reached settlement agreements with 3 major egg producers this week to resolve allegations that the companies illegally colluded for years to raise prices, including when the cost soared to record highs last year. Now, Simone had to answer a bunch of questions about the price of eggs.
Well, the eggs got high after I left, but I would say Kamala Harris talked about this, and people said she was a communist.
Correct. So, Cornell, I had to ask you, when you see something like that, and you see the degree to which the media ran with that, mainstream media, by the way, ran with the egg prices.
Yes.
And I don't think the Democrats ever were able to recover from that. It was just one of these things which is they did that, they did that. They made the little stickers of Joe Biden pointing about the eggs. When you see where we are now, do you think that the Democratic Party realizes they have to push back against those things right away?
Well, I hope the Democratic Party thinks they have to push back on those things right away. But I'm actually going to take it a step further.
And the corruption, by the way, which is allowed under Trump.
I'm going to take it a step further. I'm going to pivot from that and take it a step further. You want to know why so many Americans, particularly young Americans, are saying the hell with capitalism and embracing socialism? It's because of stories like that.
Yeah.
It's because stories like that about how corrupt and rigged the system is and how the system is consistently not working for these people. And you know what? Those young people aren't completely crazy when you have stories like this where they're colluding to raise prices and gouge people. And then we wonder why so many young people are upset about capitalism and about big business. They have a right to be upset with capitalism and big business if this is how it's going to operate.
Very much so. And look, I mean, not to go back, but this was a point that some Democrats did talk about. Elizabeth Warren talked about this. Kamala Harris, it was a plank in her platform, a 100-day platform, that people said it was communism. They said, oh, she's going after the companies. Oh, she doesn't like business. When the reality was the companies were and still are ripping people off in this country. What is showing up in the focus groups? Because you said the corruption wasn't necessarily showing up in a while outside Louisiana.
But Louisiana's all
yes, very much so.
And so far as Chicago. But what I'm saying is you do see it now, and that the corruption idea of the system is corrupt and the system is rigged. Is now it's not a crazy idea anymore.
No.
Like people are beginning to think that the system really is rigged. I'm actually beginning to think that the system is
it not rigged?
I mean, if the president's making
not?
$2.2 billion, the eggs it was collusion. It was massive collusion that came right after COVID. So I think that I agree with you 100%. I think you're starting to see the energy and a candidate who can harness that, because Donald Trump is the apotheosis of corruption. He is sitting there making money off of your backs. He is completely ripping taxpayers off. And do you think that his Justice Department is in any way really going after companies that hard? I'll give him this one. They got the egg guys a few years too late. Okay. But deregulation, that's the name of his game.
Damn, Luke just hit us with apotheosis. I'm just sitting here right now.
Bernie Sanders called out the rigged economy.
This brother is on point.
I'm about to Google apotheosis in the break.
You go
Supreme or utmost example of.
Example
of, yeah.
Thank you. I went to good school.
Shout out to Fred Chandler, my 8th grade teacher, for doing that.
He did that in 8th grade.
Sounds like a private school to me.
That's a private school. All right, so we've now layered the cake on the table with a lot of different kind of icing. And my question is, the consumers of this cake, that cake being our economy, that cake being capitalism, that cake being all the little pieces, and as they bite into that cake, they're finding chunks of things. Oh, they hurt their gum, corruption. Oh, they hurt their gum, can't pay for this. Oh, because the system that made the cake, right, has made a bad cake. Question then becomes, what does this generation that's assuming power, from the mayoralty of New York to the new members of Congress who will likely be there this fall or beginning of next year, to the next generation of governors, because the governors that we have now are going to be old in comparison to the folks who are going to be coming online beginning in 28 and so forth. How do they remake that cake? Because at the end of the day, you look at the ingredients of socialism as it plays out economically in other parts of the world. How is that going to be different here?
Well, here's how
you got to make a better cake. Well, so what do you do with the ingredients?
Well, I'm going to reject the idea that we're going to make the cake, because historically we've never made this cake in America. There's a lot of people in academic spaces who would argue we've never seen a true socialist movement like we saw in parts of Europe, in the Scandinavian.
Have we seen true capitalism?
In Scandinavian countries, I would argue that's true capitalism. In Scandinavian countries, because of this, because in the end. But what about those brown people who are coming over borders?
Come on.